and welcome back to the Pip and Pin Podcast. My name is Megan Nodecker, and I'm a knitwear designer from Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram as Pip and Pin, on Ravelry as Knit Pip and Pin, and at pipandpin.ca. Today is November 9th, and this is episode 75. And while I don't have very many new things to show you today, I do have kind of a lot to talk about and a lot of things to share. So I hope that you'll stick around and listen to me yammer at you for a little while. So first off, what I'm wearing is, this is my Catbells cardigan, and I probably say this every single time that I wear it, but it is 1000% my favorite thing that I've ever knit. Maybe not like my favorite, thing that I'm most proud of, but the thing that I wear the most. I wear this at least a few times a week. It's long, it's lean, it's warm without being heavy or too warm, because I get too warm easily. The yarn that I used is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, so it is a nice lofty kind of yarn. And it has this all over texture on the front and back. And if you are interested in knitting it, you don't do any purling at all for this cardigan. So you're just working this kind of garter lace pattern. You also don't have to do any finishing, because the finishing of the band is already done. I did put some pockets on mine as well, so I have somewhere to put my phone and keys and things like that. And then just some nice fitted sleeves covered in cat hair with a rolled cuff here. So just an all over wonderful sweater. If you were to knit any of my designs, I would say do this one, because it's easy and quick, and I wear it the most out of anything that I've ever knit. I actually think I'm going to make another one. I was at Michael's the other day, and they had Lion Brand Woolies, which is, I think it was a worsted weight yarn, and it was in this like brownie, really warm kind of caramelly color, and it wasn't quite orange. It was more brown than orange. I have a lot of orange going on right now, but this is definitely more brown, kind of more caramelly, and I think it would make a really good fit with that. So maybe we'll do some sort of Catbells knit along or something like that, but I feel like I need another one. As much as I love Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, it is a little bit, I'm wearing it out. We'll put it that way. I am wearing this out at the back of the neck. I need to repair it for sure. You can see that the elbows are getting a little bit thin. It's just the nature of the yarn, and a testament to how much I do actually wear the crap out of this thing. Speaking of knit-alongs and things, I do have a knit-along running in our Ravelry group right now, and on Instagram. And it is our Sprocket knit-along. So I recently released the Sprocket sweater. So now there is the Sprocket hat, Sprocket socks, and the Sprocket sweater, and there is a knit-along going until the end of December. So if you knit any of those things, you can enter to win some prizes. You can chat in the chat group for some prizes, and then there's also, if you share on Instagram, things like that, you can win prizes that way. I think I have 3 prizes planned for giveaways, and I don't know exactly what's going in them yet. Probably a combination of yarns and stitch markers and patterns or books or candles or whatever. I'll make something really fun for you guys. And yeah, there's going to be 3 prizes for that as well. And each kind of thing in the finished objects thread, each item is going to be worth different entries. So the hat, if you finish the hat, you'll get 1 entry. If you finish a pair of socks, you'll get 2 entries. And then if you finish the sweater, which somebody did finish the sweater already, we just started this in the middle of October, and her name is slipping my mind, but she knit a little short-sleeved Sprocket sweater, and it's done, and it's so cute. And if you do the sweater, then it's worth 4 entries. So, because it's obviously quite a bit bigger project than any of the other ones. So that is going on until December 30th, and I'll make sure I put all of the information, all the links you can find to all the different rules and things like that. There's not really rules. Knit the thing, win a prize. There's your rules. But I'll put links down to that all in the bottom there, in that little description box thing there. The other thing that's happening right now, also until the end of the year, December 31st, is I'm having a pattern sale. Not on all of my patterns, but I am discontinuing some of my patterns. A lot of my older patterns they're still good. They're still nice patterns, but I had recently, over the past year, we've been updating our website and updating our patterns, and those are ones that just never made the cut to get updated, and I just don't want to put any more energy into them, because I do have some really exciting things happening in the new year. And so I'm kind of trying to make some space in my life, and discontinuing some old patterns seems like the right thing to do. So they're going to be available until the 31st. There's 23 of them in total, and they're all $2 each until the end of the year. So I have it, I have a bundle on Ravelry, and I'll put a link to it down below here, but I have a bundle of the 23 patterns that are on sale for $2, and then on December 31st, they are going to be no longer. And I got a question too, like, if you buy the pattern, do you still have access to it, things like that? Yes. If you buy one of the $2 patterns now, or you have it in your library from buying it previously, it's not going to disappear from your library. So you will have the download link, you will still have access to your files. I just won't be selling them anymore. That's really all it is. Next step in our episode journey is usually finished objects, but I have nothing to show you. I started many new things over the past couple weeks, and so I've been steadily working along on those. So I'm just going to show you those. I've only been working on 2 of them. I started a pair of socks a couple weeks ago too, but I don't think I put any work into them since the last episode, so I'm not going to show them to you again until I have something else to share. But I do have 2 sweaters that I'm working on. I have Justin's sweater and I have George's sweater. And let's start with Justin's sweater. So if you remember, I am kind of just winging this. I'm making him a sweater. He likes Henleys, so I'm making him a Henley, and I'm just kind of making up the pattern. I'm knitting it bottom up, and the last time he tried it on, he was so concerned about the length because he said he wanted it really long, and so I knit it really long, and then he tried it on, and like the top isn't done yet, so keep that in mind too. And he was freaking out about the length. He said it's too long, like, oh no, like, can you take some out, or blah, blah, blah. And I said, don't worry about it. Like, let me finish the sweater. I'll block it, wear it around a little bit, like ease into it. And then if it's still too long, I can always go back and cut out some length. And he was so worried about it, but it's really not that big a deal. So I had to it's okay. Like, length is easy. Especially with this one, because I'll show you kind of what I did for the bottom. We'll talk about the top in a minute. But for the bottom, it's all flippy. But I had originally I just cast on with this white, which is Lion Brand's. Oh, this is the Woolies. This was the yarn I was talking about. Lion Brand Woolies. And this is what colorway is this? Linen, I think? Yeah, this is the linen colorway, so just a nice creamy white. This is Katia Scotch Tweed, but it is discontinued, so you won't be able to find that one. Hopefully I have enough, because I also won't be able to find more of it. They might have a couple more at Hippie Strings where I bought it from. Anyways, not talking about the yarn, talking about the bottom. So I had originally just cast on with this white because he wants kind of light, a bit of white accent in there. And then I just started knitting because he didn't want a big cuff on the bottom or anything. He says it pulls in and he doesn't like how that looks. So I said, okay, we'll try that, but it's probably going to roll. Sure enough, it rolled like crazy. And I know even with blocking, it's not going to, that wasn't going to block out. So I took that cast on off and put it on a set of needles. And then so the body was worked up this way. And then the little hem that I added is actually worked from here down. So I told him, like, if it ends up being too long, after all is said and done, we're not going to worry about the length right now, and after all is said and done, the sweater's blocked, you've worn it around the house a bit, you still think it's too long, then we can go back and I can literally just cut off 2 inches of the bottom and reknit this little hem. Like, it's not a big deal. It's okay. Most things in knitting are very fixable and very adjustable, like especially when it comes to length and things like that. Width is a little more, you kind of have to be a little more precise with the width, but length is super easy. Speaking of changing knitting, so I knit the body, and what he wants is like a Henley, so crew neck with buttons. That's his go-to style of shirt. Now, I had made him a Henley before out of fingering weight yarn. I actually have it right here. This guy. Now, this, it's a Canadian company, East Coast, can't remember. But I made it out of their yarn, and it is fingering weight. And I had a really, really tough time knitting with this yarn. I don't know what it was. It kept curling. It was really hurting my hands. So I told him if I get my knitting machine ever up and running, I will knit him another one like this. Other than that, he's going to have to live with a DK one. But he wore this every single day for 3 years. He still wears it like when he goes out kind of as an undershirt, but it looked really sharp when I first made it. And now it's, it's wool, it stretches, it, changes shape. But anyways, this is the style that we were going for. Buttons up the front, the neck is all stretched out. And for this one, I had done just like a set-in sleeve, a normal set-in sleeve. And so that's what I was going to do with this one. That's what I did. And it's almost done, and I just kept like making mistakes and things just kept going wrong. And I just was not ever very happy with how it was turning out. It wasn't fitting him properly. It just things never were working out. So I put it in the corner for a while. Actually, I tried to make it work because I had this whole system where I was going to do a portion of George's sweater and then a portion of Justin's sweater and go back and forth until everything was, so then they would have sweaters kind of finished at the same time. But he told me to just sit with it for a little while and put it in the corner and see if a solution kind of happens. He said if we have to change the way the sleeves are done, that's fine. And then he saw George's sweater and he really liked the raglan. So I'm going to rip all this top out. I mean, I'm working with worsted weight yarn on size 8 needles. So this is not taking me a long time. Ripping the whole top of this sweater out is not actually a big deal. It's maybe an evening of getting it kind of back. But what I'm going to do, and this is actually something I'm taking a class right now with Allison Dykhuizen. I'll put her Instagram down below. And it's like a live, she does like live knitting classes where you kind of work on a sweater together. And so I'm doing the Cardigan sweater, and she does it where you do like live Zoom meetings, and then also if enough people kind of sign up, you can also just purchase like the replays. So I just purchased the replays. I'm not actually attending the Zoom meetings, unfortunately, but I just have to say, like, she's amazing. So if you are interested in doing like a live Zoom meeting kind of thing, go and check out her Instagram, because I think she has signups for like fall or for winter open right now for her next kind of round of classes. I'm learning so much, and she's such a great teacher. She's so fun to listen to. Go check her out. Anyways, something that I've learned in this class is we're doing the Cardigan sweater, and I'm obviously not knitting it right now. I'm just kind of watching the videos, but I have yarn and I plan to knit the Cardigan for a long time. Anyways, she has this way of knitting where the Cardigan is a bottom-up sweater, and she's like, I don't like bottom-up sweaters, so we're going to knit kind of bottom up and then join things and knit down. So essentially, and I'm going to do this for Justin's sweater, is essentially I'm going to rip all this top back out and just have the body. And then what I'm going to do is, with a provisional cast on, I'm going to decrease, or not decrease, I'm going to cast off some stitches for the underarm, and then I'm going to knit across the front, and then I'm going to provisionally cast on my sleeve stitches here all the way around, however long he needs his arm to be. I'm going to bind off some more stitches for the other underarm, and then knit around, and then provisionally cast on for this sleeve. So then I will be able to knit the whole top of the sweater and have my provisional cast on here for my sleeves, so I can knit the sleeves from the top down instead of having to knit the sleeves from the bottom up and kind of guess. So that is the plan. I'm going to rip all this out. I'm going to add in my provisional sleeves, bind off some stitches for my underarm, and then we're going to do some raglan decreases. Leave a slit kind of in the middle here for our button band, add our button band and our collar, and then I'll be able to pick up the stitches from my provisional cast on and knit the sleeves down, which seems like way easier than my other plan was, because the other way I was thinking of doing it was ripping out the top bit. Of course, the top bit, the 7 sleeves are not happening. The other way I was going to do it though was I was going to knit the sleeves first from the bottom up and then attach them all and do weird things. But it totally makes more sense to knit sleeves from the top down, because then you can actually get them to the right length and you don't have to guess. And yeah, so that's my plan with this. And I will probably start that maybe tonight when I have my little mushroom guy on here. I made these the other day. They're up in my shop. But I definitely took one for myself because they're super cute. Yeah, so hopefully that one should probably, I think by the end of November, I'll have both of these sweaters done, I think. And then there's some other things that I want to really start working on. It's going to be good. All right. So George's sweater. Now George's sweater I also was having some issues with, just different issues. And I'm very far along on her sweater, and I kind of stopped at a weird spot so that I could show you what I was doing. But anyways, let's talk about the yarn and pattern first. So what I'm making, Georgia, is the mini Montrealer, and this is a pattern by Designs by Delz. I'll make sure I link it down in the bottom there. I've made this for her before. I made her one last year, kind of out of scraps, and it was stripy, and it's so cute, and slightly too small now. She still wears it every day, but the sleeves are getting a little short, the body's getting a little short, and it's getting a little snug. She's 8, and yeah, so what we did is I'm just knitting her the largest size of the mini Montrealer, and I think it says for a 10-year-old, but I'm also using worsted weight yarn, so it is a little bit bigger than that even. I think we're just kind of winging it with this one. We're just doing the largest size, and she likes her sweaters big and oversized anyways, so hopefully this will be big and oversized enough. And this is what we've got so far. And this yarn is Lily and Pine Aspen worsted, and I don't know the colorways because there's 5 colors in here. But it fades from this beautiful like J-Glow seafoam down into like vibrant peach, and it all has all these speckles and pink and purple, and she just absolutely loves it. So I've gotten the body all done. I also did the pocket, which is the key of this sweater for Georgia, is the pocket. You can omit it if you want to, but the pocket's kind of it for her. One thing I do want to say about the pocket, if you do decide to knit this sweater, is I find the way that he's written the instructions for doing it a little awkward. Essentially what he has you do is knit the body to like the top, and then you just put markers in where the pockets start and end, and then you kind of pick up stitches along here, and then you finish knitting the body up to the hem, and then you pick up stitches along here, knit your panel for your pocket, and then attach them together while you knit your hem. It works, but I found picking up stitches from the knit side really awkward. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's also quite tight where the joint or where the stitches are picked up. It's really not a huge issue at all, but it was just really awkward to do. And so I think if I was to make this sweater again, which I might, is I would, when it's time to knit the pocket, like knit just as the pattern to the pocket, what I would do then is put my, put the body stitches on hold and just work the front of the pocket first is I think how I would do it. And then you have a nice flat panel here, and then I would go back and knit the rest of the body, because I feel like picking up stitches from the wrong side where you have, like if you look at the back side of stockinette stitch, you have a lovely row of straight lines of where you can pick up stitches. There's little bars you can just easily pick up, and I feel like that would be so much easier to do from the back than trying to do it and make it look good from the front. He says to use a crochet hook to like pull it through or something. It was just very awkward for me, and I didn't like it. So I would do it a little differently. I also asked Georgia how she wanted the pocket to be, like if she wanted it to continue with the fade, if she wanted it all in this color, or if she wanted it all in the green like the hood is going to be. And she wanted it, of course, she wanted it to be the fade, because that is the most difficult option. So I did match the fade in the pocket, and then continued on. Of course, it's not finished yet, and there are little like finishing bits on the side of the pocket that are going to go on after. I'm going to have to do those in green or leave them off, because I have used every single bit of yarn so far. So I got 5 colors of this yarn. This is my little swatch of the fade. And what I did is I think I had 16 rows of solid, 16 rows of alternating one color to the other, and then 16 rows of solid, 16 rows alternating, 16 rows solid, all the way down, which works great for the body. And then I kind of forgot about the pocket, so I did the pocket. When I was doing the sleeves, I realized that these kind of 3 colors here, I was going to run out of, and I was going to run out of them like way quicker. So I kind of tried to figure it out, just eyeballing it to see. That didn't work because I would, I pick up stitches from here and then work down this way. So I was running out of colors, and her sleeves would have been like up to here. So what I decided to do instead, to make my life more difficult, is I put the sleeve stitches on hold, and I actually knit the sleeves from the bottom up. Now, I just said in Justin's sweater that I didn't want to knit the sleeves bottom up, but in this case, I wanted to use every single bit of yarn that I possibly could. So I provisionally cast it on just the edge here, my cast on. And I started with my peach. And how I did these 2 at a time as well. So how I determined kind of where to switch my colors is how did I do it for the peach? Can't really remember how I did it for the peach, but for the other colors, I think for the next 3 colors, what I did is I actually strung them out and cut them in half. So then I had half for one sleeve, half for the other. And then I found the middle of one of those. So I strung it out. There was lots of yarn barf. If you are not a fan of untangling yarn, this is not the technique for you. I didn't want to weigh it because I find my scale to be not the most precise, and I wanted to literally use as much yarn as I possibly could. So I was figuring out yardage wise. And so with my half of my leftover yarn for one of the sleeves, I put it in half again, and I found where the midpoint of that was. And then I put it in half again, and I found basically where the fourths are. And I just put a little knot, just like a little overhand knot, so I could tell where that point was. So I had my yarn divided in half, one for each sleeve, and then I divided each half portion into 4 sections. So then what I could do is I could go ahead and use the first quarter we're just going to pretend that this is where I started. So I use the first quarter of this yarn here, this speckly multicolored, or what one? It would be this. So this multicolored one here, this section. The first fourth I used, and I alternated every row with the color before it. And then the next 2 quarters I did solid. So I knit from the beginning to my first knot alternating, and then from that first knot to the third knot just straight, and then again from the third knot to the very end until I ran out in alternating. And then I did the same for the next and the next and the next. And some of them, the colors were a little bit off, but it worked out perfect. And I used to be such a perfectionist with my knitting. I really did. I wanted everything to be just so. And that's great when I'm designing patterns. When you're actually knitting patterns, you don't have to be that precise. I wanted every section to be 16 rows long, because if it wasn't 16 rows, it wouldn't match. But let me show you something. So this is the sleeve that I did. I used up all my yarns, and then I had more of this last color ear, so I just knit until the sleeve was 15 inches and it was long enough to be attached. If you have them, the sleeve and the body, side by side, yes, they are slightly different, especially in this little section-y here. There's a little more blue, there's a little less peach. When George is wearing this sweater, nobody is going to notice that the color changes don't exactly match up. And even if they did notice, nobody would ever think that that's not how it's supposed to be, or that it looks so weird that it's wrong. The sleeves match each other, and they pretty much match the body. And I used every single bit of yarn that I had. Win, win, win all the way around. So what I'm going to do with this sleeve, I just had this one off. I could have put it on as well, but I wanted to show you kind of how I did it. Is basically I'm just going to bind off. Did I bind it off here? Let's see. What did I do? Okay, so I'm just going to bind off my stitches here at the underarm, however many underarm stitches there are. And then I'm just going to hold these put these on needles and kind of hold them together and Kitchener the top of the sleeve to the bottom of the yoke. There we go. That is going to be that. And then it will have 2 sleeves and it will be wonderful. What I'm working on now, and what I started last night, is the hood. So I had provisionally cast it on at the neckline here, so I just unpicked that provisional cast on and picked up my stitches and did whatever the pattern said, and I'm now starting my hood, which is also a very integral part of this sweater. So I have this much more of this aqua color to do the hood, and I was very smart and I picked up an extra skein of this color because I asked Georgia when we were picking it out, I said, what one do you want the most of? Do you want most of the blue or most of the peach? Because one is going to need more. So she chose this one. So I'm doing the whole hood in this color. And then I have to do the casing for the string. Then I have the string, the I-cord to do. And then if there is enough and we decide we want to do it, I'll also do some fancy little casing bits just on the edge of the pocket there. But it kind of rolls nicely and might just be okay if I just tack it down. I'm trying to convince Georgia that that might be okay too, but she wants it finished nicely and exactly like her other one. So there will probably be a band at the end. She also actually really liked the blue at the cuffs. She thought that was neat, and I did a tubular bind off on this edge here, and which is why I did the provisional for here, because I wanted the tubular to match, but we'll see. It is cute with that, but I want it to match. We'll see. And that is it. Those are the 2 things that I've been working on. I've been working really hard on them because I would like them to be finished. They should be finished soon. I think I was saying last episode that I've really got my knitting mojo back, and that is continued to be true, so that's exciting. All I want to do is knit on these sweaters, and so that my family can have some sweaters. So it's very exciting. It's a really cool feeling to be able to make things for the people you love. Yeah, and that is it. So if you feel like knitting with me, the Sprocket Knit Along has started and it's going to the end of the year. We have our $2 patterns if you want to pick any of those up before they are discontinued. I'm also thinking about doing some live events at some point. I think I might do something with designers, because I have that designer course that I created and have taught. And so I thought it might be a good, I don't know, just a fun idea to like get a Zoom meeting or something together with fellow designers. I was also thinking of maybe doing some knit along kind of things for like some of my patterns, maybe in January, maybe like spring patterns or something. I don't know. I'm really open to some ideas if you have any. If you've attended events like this, or if there's a kind of like thing that you like or don't like, or I can't really do in-person things right now because all of the yarn stores around me have closed, unless I want to drive into Vancouver, which I 100% don't want to do. So we are limited to Zoom at the moment. But if you have any ideas of things that you might want to know, or maybe different classes that you'd like, or just experiences that you've had that you've loved, or experiences you've had that you were not so fond of, I'd like to know those things. This is something that's been on my brain for a little while now, and I really want to kind of start it going, and I want to hear like what people are interested in, and kind of what you guys would like to see happen. So if you want to, you can leave a comment down below. If you want it to be a little more private, you can always email me or message me on Instagram or whatever. But yeah, tell me what kinds of things you're interested in. Anyway, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.